I'm sorry, I was on the call. Sorry, I was on the call. And it was like because Tom texted me. I was like, shit, there was Tom. Right, I'm so sorry. Right? Yeah, but don't worry, we'll crack on. We will crack on. I do apologise. There's loads of come on, Russ, leave the wife alone. Yeah, as if. Long time no see, indeed. I do apologise. I was literally sitting there and then someone called me and it was like distracting me. So I do apologize. I am sorry, but we're here. No. Thomas just texted me, getting asked to check up on you. Yeah, I'm fine. Have you been transferred in the summer? Is it a technical issue? It wasn't. It's because I literally was sitting there on a call with someone. I was like, anyway, at least it gets lots of people on at the same time, isn't it? It's lovely. There we go. Nice to see. Right. So we've got less than a week until less than 4 days until the January transfer window. It's a bit weird at the moment, isn't it? And I think it's going to get weirder. To be honest. There is lots of interesting stuff out there. Lots of conflicting reports. As I said, Gia did the show. Agreed. But apparently that's not 100% true. That's the thing. I don't necessarily. The Osman thing's a strange one, in terms of that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to see any more funny messages. Tom is in the chat. Give him a call. Russ got to press play. I think Russ is playing too hard. Apparently, Jota is in cup. We're going to talk about that as well. Evening, everyone. Right, we got to the bottom. That's it. Right, okay. Let's start. Let's talk about the Osman deal. So, obviously, there's so much going on with this. So many conflicting reports. Anton spoke yesterday. There was the issue with the agents. But then Fabrizio Romano's come out and said that actually everything's been agreed apart from the fee. So we are literally in no man's land, in all honesty, I think. We don't know what's going on with this one. I did make it indeed. It's not to go like this. That's a good point, though, Toby. That could be a good point. So we don't know what's going on. We just don't know what's going on with this. We've got conflicting reports. There was, I think, Gonza did a thing the other day, and Sean's Wheaton has said that basically an agent close to Mr. Sullivan has got his ear and said, is he really worth it? We had Osman on his Instagram putting up a Instagram post of a time thing and fingers crossed or whatever, or eye emojis. I have just read a report today that Spurs are in negotiations with SC Norrslag in terms of becoming a feeder club for them. So I just wonder whether that's why they put the kibosh on it or they've held it back. North Schlad, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll be honest. So that could be a potential reason why. It might be a spanner in the works, and they go, but we really want this Osman guy as well as part. A bit like we did with Andy Irvine. Do you remember we signed him from the random club in Austria, and that was almost as part payment. I'm just putting it out there because it seems it's all come out in the wash very, very quickly. But according to Fabrizio Romano, he says that the players responded. The player and the journal and the agent, whoever he may be, have apparently both mentioned that both agreed terms. It was just a little bit of a difference in valuation. But I mean, he still sounds eager to sign, but nobody can blame him. Obviously, West Ham are doing really well this season, but I just don't know what's going on. I think I think something will come out. There was a thing about there was like some fake news about him, 6 months deal or whatever, left his contract. Obviously, Anton mentioned yesterday about his agent and his sort of illegal payments, or it's all a bit. It's all a bit more. Apparently, Fabrizio was wrong, says Gio, says the chat. So we'll go and watch that afterwards, guys. But yeah, it's there's something I still think it's a Spurs thing has got us a cropper here. In terms of Russy B, the original, I'm still going to put a set because why not? I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling excited anyway because it's the end of the transfer window. Let's talk about Jota then quickly. It seems that we have pivoted very, very quickly to a deal with Jota. Apparently, according to some journalist including Santioroli, he says that similar to what we were led to believe with Osman, really, in that the player has agreed, and it comes up to the club now in terms of agreeing terms. He reported on Twitter today that he's on standby to head to the UK amid positive negotiations between the Hammers and his club. Apparently, his agreement has already been reached by Jota and West Ham, with positive talks already taking place between Al Ittihad and West Ham. And sources feel some clubs could reach a full agreement. And he's waiting for he's waiting for the green light to travel. The issue he has is wages. In that a loan deal could be probably the most likely, but we've got the tax issue because coming from Saudi Arabia, there is a tax issue, which might be a situation where we're getting lots. We might just not offer. We might just not be able to get over that tax issue in time, potentially, but we shall see. Spurs were offered. They were indeed, and I think because of that, they've always had a look at this club as being a feeder club, and I think personally, and again, no, it's only reading one report and then this report, that seems to be the stumbling block. It's almost like they said, "Yeah, we want you to be our feeder club. Here's some money. Oh, and we'll have him as well. We won't have. If you don't want him to, go to somewhere else, we have to have him as part of the deal." That's the way I've seen it. Looks like Tom Selleck indeed. Problem is, two agents involved in the deal. Don't recognise agents. Looks like the scouting that he does. Hey, calm down. Get in pockets. A young Ian Rush must be immersed when we go to Saudi. I think it was a mistake. Obviously, he went to Saudi, 25 million quid, 24. He was sort of the first one who was not of an elderly age for a player to move over. So we'll have to see what happens. Once anything goes in a bit more detail, we'll put together a fact pack. So you have all the information. He gets the pays with Rick Rude. Is the Portuguese Rick Rude is supposed to be approximately 100 wages. Hopefully we don't panic and do a dodgy last minute deal. When in our history would a young player like Jota been trying to come to? You're totally right. Some great Wham songs if he signs, indeed. Russy B, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. We've been linked with a plethora of sort of a left-sided forwards as well at the moment, it seems. And similar with this guy, Morgan Roberts. Apparently, we had a bid for him. And we were looking to hijack a deal for him. He was off to Aston Villa in a £12.5 million transfer, according to the Sunday People. It reported in the print edition yesterday that the Hammers failed in a move for him and have now cleared the path for him to join Villa. He would have been a very exciting prospect, similar to Jonathan Rowe. We'll talk about him as well. He scored 2 goals and 6 assists in 26 appearances this season. He's bagged 5 goals and 2 assists in Borough's reach the Carabao Cup semi-final as well. But it does look like Aston Villa will be purchasing him. And that's unfortunate. Hi, Russ, Dave from X-Pack Cambodia. Take care, man. Good to know. Good to see you, buddy. Right. Jota has a strong already. He does indeed. Right, muscle in the Spurs and just take Osman. I don't know, Brian. I don't know. It's, by all accounts, Moyes like the lad, Osman. Steiden like the lad. The committee like the lad. But it does seem, according to reports, that there's been a spanner in the works caused by an agent or an advisor to Mr. Sullivan getting in his ear. If that's the case, we don't know if it's true or not, but that's what we've been told. Then you've got the whole issue with the double agent. So we don't know where we are. I think it's looking less likely, unfortunate. And I wouldn't go crying, devastated. We've had these situations before where we've been all about getting a player in and we don't get him. Last year was Lewis Keane Potter, where we thought we was going to get him and it didn't work out. And sometimes things happen for a reason. And we don't know paper talk and obviously what people are, and that's the flip side of gossip and of rumours. We've been linked to over 70 players in the January transfer window. We've signed one, so it's like it's we don't know where we are. We don't know where we are. Am I the only one who thinks we need a centre back, full back as well as that? Yep, I do, Kent. Who would you sign this window? I mean, even if we had signed, even if we do sign, or have, or will sign, or don't sign, or even if we did sign Osman, the chances are he wouldn't be featuring directly in the first team as a starter from on Thursday. Do you know what I mean? For example, he would have been even potentially gone out on loan, and with a view to bring back and develop. He's not the finished article. He's very raw, which excited me because of what you could get out of him. But it is, we move on, don't we? We move on, this guy's got 2 out of 10 on Morgan because he should be really 1, really. He's pretty much guaranteed to go to Villa. On Friday, we were heavily linked with a player from Monza. It was a Carboni. We didn't know which one it was. Apparently, it was Valentin Carboni, and it's someone who's been on our radar. Apparently, we had a bid worth around £7 million rejected, and including to Tutu Mercato Web, we launched a £12 million bid for him, which was also rejected. He's a massive talent. He's a South, very much Lanzini replacement, really. He's bagged 2 goals and 3 assists in 15 senior games for Monza this season. Very good technically, young, has the potential to be be a good star. But I think Monza want to keep hold of him for a little bit longer by the sounds of it. I've given him a 3 out of 10. Let's go through a few of these. Rowe has broken a bone in his hand. He hasn't played recently. He has indeed. We'll talk about him in a minute. Newcastle split with Ramsey. Yep, but they need to sell. Apparently, Jota is willing to take a wage cut. Well, he's allegedly on 200 grand a week. I think that's after tax. No, but there's no tax in Saudi, so there we go. He would have to, but apparently, Al Ittihad have basically said to him, that they want us to cover 100% of his wages. So the agent is yeah, exactly some quotes as when he turned down Tony from Peterborough. Will Phillips start on Thursday? He could well do. Osman, a shame, but I think Jota. For me, Osman would, if things sort themselves out, Osman in 2 years, Osman in 18 months' time, that's the play we want to get, and that will develop. Someone like Roberts, someone like Rowe, someone like Jota comes in now. So they would help us now. That's what I've always said. If we got Osman in, it would be regardless of whether we bring in someone as a replacement for Ben Rama or Fornals, because it would be one for the future. And that's what Moyes himself said. Someone on, I think it was Gonzo's thing, said, or Russy said it, or of course he would say it. Moyes has said that directly to a very close source to me, who I trust wholeheartedly. They like him, but they see him for the future, and it would be one for the future. Whereas I think if we get Jota in now, that's for now, particularly if it was a loan deal, for example. No news on Sagawa. And the latest, that's what I said. The latest is he's keen. He's waiting literally for the plane, for the okay from the green light from Al Ittihad, and off he goes. I think it will still be a loan deal, particularly with that amount of money available. What winger do you want? Just a winger. Apparently, he has longer than 6 months. Fabrizio was wrong about that. He was wrong about that in terms of that he hasn't got a 6 month deal. He signs until 2027. Because I can tell you that, because even on his Wikipedia it says he signed a new deal. His keys to 2027. How will Osman help us push on now? Is a luxury. We're supposed to be so tight. We're not that tight on FFP, John. It's if you see any of the articles that people said, we're actually quite good on FFP at the moment. We're going to talk about Pedro. Don't worry. Who is next? Let's talk about Pedro. Is he next? No, it's not Jonathan Rowe. Let's talk about Jonathan Rowe. Basically, Norwich are expecting us and Spurs to have like deadline day deals offers in for him. They're expecting it. They said in They're expecting several other clubs to come in for him as well in January. Villa, Palace, Newcastle, Spurs, and us. And we know, the thing is, he's almost single-handedly, because he's got a broken bone in his hand, has kept Norwich in the race for the playoffs. They know the importance he has. So that obviously comes with a increased price. And that has been driven up further and further. And so it will require a large transfer fee to get him out of Carrow Road this month. Whether we pay that and foot the bill is another thing. So there's going to be a lot of, fully expect a flurry of bids in the next couple of days for him. And looking around for potential replacements already, so they're ahead of the curve, basically. I like him. He's raw, he's power, but I just think there's so many. I just don't know. It's going to come down to money. It really is with this one, I think. And I just don't know if we've been haggling for 2-3 million quid on someone like Osman, what are we going to do now? I don't get it. There we go. What we got here? Not a winger, one with a paces must. We have 75 million in bank for transfers. Rowe is my first choice, always has been, but Osman is the right time to sign him rather than throw. Exactly, Ken. That's the idea. It will be a case of you probably won't see the best of him for another 18 months at least, because he is extreme. He's played, I think, 40 professional games. So it's a lot of money to take. It's a risk, but it's a calculated risk in terms of what you've got, and obviously scouting, and the academy has come through. They've got a very good hit rate. And as you said, you could be paying 2-3 times as much in 2 years' time. And it could be one that got away. It could be like Julian Alvarez from Man City, for example. So, yeah. Just have to be aware Kudus is not Osman. Osman did well. And exactly, where Kudus is more developed. You're right. Kudus, has played many games for Ajax. So he was further down the line. He was bought as a ready-to-go replacement, which is why he's about, which is why someone like Osman is half the price, really. We're going to talk about Chalobah in a minute. Jota, it's not been officially agreed. It's the player wants to come, by all accounts. He wants to get out of it, obviously. And so, it's a case of waiting. But as I said, we have to get through this tax issue, apparently. Have we got any players we can add to deal on loan to sweeten the pot for Rowe? Potentially, Ken. For me, the issue also, I'm going to talk about tonight. We've got the first edition of the Academy show, where I talk specifically about the Academy, news about the Academy, contract news, loans, all that type of stuff we talk about. And there's an issue I have in terms of where players go on loan, and I worry if we send certain players. Norwich, right? They're pushing for playoffs. In terms of player development and stuff like that. Possibly we could send them someone like, I don't know, a winger, but I just don't think we will. But he's doing his time indeed. Last day's race, we are royally effed. Yeah, not bad, mate. Hope you're well. The issue with the Osman deal is due to the trying to negotiate a deal. He's doing so illegally. Already as an agent, contracted are refusing to allow the deal. Indeed, but also apparently there also is an issue with the what's it called? The fee. The fee has. And also the fact that Spurs are wanting to negotiate some sort of feeder club status. So that's what I think. Is Kletekar in the car park? Very good. So presumably the future Osman will disappear to AFCONs the same time as Kudus. Indeed. If Kudus is still with us by that time. Rowe is the GOAT running down the wing. There we go. Tom's already got it started. I will not be doing another one after I've got rather pan for me singing Tom's JWP song, which never worked. Let's talk about Pedro. Let's talk about Pedro Gonzalez. Again, a bit of another sort of scrabbling round trying to find a left winger type thing. Portuguese news outlet O Jogo has reported that we could make a move for Sporting Lisbon's Pedro Gonzalez. I mean, he can play anywhere on the back, in the attack. He's best in the wing, but he can play attacking midfield as well. He's scored 53 goals and 29 assists in 4 seasons for Sporting Lisbon this year. Well, sorry, Sporting the last 4 years. Not 53 goals in the season, across 4 seasons. He's 25, but he doesn't come cheap. Don't come cheap. Cheap other budget. He doesn't. They would apparently demand fees of around 50 million euros, which could come as high as his 80 million euro release clause. Such a high fee would be totally out of the budget. So cannot see this one happening. Literally, this is 2 and 2 together. Obviously, Jota's Portuguese. And so another Portugueser, 3 out of 10. This one is not going to happen. Not going to happen. It should be less than 3 out of 10, in all honesty. What we got here, I'd assume Other Jota doesn't look great, to be honest. He's very raw potential. He is, and that's what I'm saying, Michael. It's like it's going to be one of those ones where, we seem every transfer window to have a saga. So this is obviously the Osman saga. The summer one, it was a saga about what's the name? What's his name? Keane Lewis Potter. The one before then, Adam Hlosek, maybe. One before then, Abdullah Simmer. So we've always had one. And this is obviously the saga, the Osman saga. I think we need a centre-back, as Zuma is a bit leggy. We're going to talk about centre-backs in a minute. Borges as well, yes. Good shout. Carlos Borges as well. He's done well, isn't he? I think Forrest are after him, come back home. How is this a financial risk when the money has wasted? It's possible he's making his ground and not preparing to know some people know better. Not financial. Well, I think it is a financial risk, really, because, he's... I mean, you'd get your money back on Osman. You get your money back on him if he turned out to be a bit of a floppage. But I think also the thing that still worries me is for me, Osman's what was one for the future. Osman was one for the future, whereas someone like Jota comes in now, and we still don't know what's happening with the manager come the summer. So that was. I mean, that one sort of take in it was that he was gonna sign Osman and then send him out on loan. So don't know. Zubi's played Bournemouth game and missed Man United other way round. Probably other way round, I reckon. I reckon he'll. But then we don't know. He played 2-game week, didn't he, against Bristol City and what's the face, and that didn't work out. So I don't know what's going to happen. 3 days for Lingard to make an appearance. Indeed, loads. Oh, so much, mate. So much. Missed so much. Moyes going to Liverpool. Or Arsenal if Arteta goes to Barcelona. I said we should have gone for Goncalves 2 years ago. Yeah, he would have been. Oh, Victor, when he was at Sport, when he was at what's his name? He's at Coventry. And I think sometimes, we've seen guys like Julian Alvarez, who we know Moyes was offered or Moyes was told to have a look at, and he turned him down. And obviously went to Man City, won the World Cup. So there will be ones like them. There will be ones like them. Same as everyone. I think you're going to get 100% hit rate with every signing. But the thing is, don't forget now, this is Tim's regime now. So this is Tim's stewardship. Obviously, there will be discussions with the likes of Moyes and Salah, but he's the right-hand man now. He's the guy who's going to be sorting out the transfers, and there's clearly something not quite right with the Osman deal. Clearly, otherwise he would be a West Ham player already, because we've been linked to him for so long already. Who else we talk to? Let's talk about Chalobah. We talk about centre halves and stuff. So Chalobah, obviously we spoke about him yesterday. Was it? No, Saturday. With Louise Al looking to move on and being replaced by Trevor Chalobah. We've had some sort of a boost by that in the fact that, someone like, obviously his parent club, Chelsea, are looking at sending him out on loan, where previously it was like a deal or nothing, permanent or nothing. And I think they see the value of him looking at a loan deal out, particularly whether it's with the club he goes out on loan to, or whether it's someone who is, or just getting him in the shop window and getting some games on. He hasn't played at all this year in the Premier League. And he is very much I think if this one happens, it'll be a very late one. I think it'll be one that, and also, he's homegrown as well, which does help. And obviously with Tilo on loan with Naif, looks like he's going to progress further with Morocco. Maybe it might even be a case of seeing how he gets on. I think the next round, the last 16 of the AFCONs is on. His match is on the Wednesday, I think. Don't quote me. So if he wins that, then maybe we'll I don't know. Then maybe we'll put a bid in for him and get him on loan for at the end of the season. Maybe with an option to buy at the end. Don't know. Don't know at the moment. I do not know at the moment. Russy B is going to give this one a 50-50. He's giving it a Lamar. He's giving it a Lamar. Let's go through some of the comments quickly. What we got here? Any news? No. I mean, there's been no more news on Left Davis from Ipswich. I think, again, Ipswich very similar to someone like Jack Clark at Sunderland, where, it's been reported that obviously it looks like not a January deal, but a summer deal. If they don't get promoted, they're open to selling him in the summer, and they're trying to time down to a new contract to give him extra value and keep hold of his value even further. But same as Leaf, Leaf Davis is, Ipswich are trying to get promotion. Obviously, they're at the FA Cup now, aren't they? Getting knocked out to Maidstone. So I just think that's probably going to be one that we see in the summer based on how well Ipswich. I think a lot of these championship clubs are looking at getting promoted. If they don't get promoted, then it's, cutting their cloth, in terms of finances. And so I think you'll see a lot of movement then. Anyway, what we got here? Marino to Palace. Okay. No thanks. Tar, please. Again, Danny, Tar ain't going to move until the summer because Alonso will be gone. And they're in a really good position. They could win the league this year. He ain't going to move on from that position. Just bolt by players and loan them out. They do. We can't take Jota and Chalobah on loan, can we? I'm not sure how it works because obviously Chalobah will be a domestic loan. I think you're allowed 2 domestic loans. I can't remember, to be honest. Is it right that Osman has like a double agent and who wants more money for himself? There is an issue with the agents and the Danish FA don't recognise it, and it's very confusing. I hope so. But I watched an Ipswich podcast. I didn't mention anything about him in their transfer comings and goings. Carter Vickers, Cameron from Celtic, would be linked to as well. Can play right, but he can play CDM. You're totally right as well. Totally right. Jota is nearly done. Hopefully so. Is what I've seen. Daryl Powell. Former West Ham player Daryl Powell, who's on loan for us. Anything? I can't. Again, I think Norwich is one of the similar teams. They're trying to get into the playoffs, and the value of getting rid of Jonathan Rowe, particularly with not a lot of time to recruit, in terms of the value of potentially being in the Premier League, means for me it's going to makes more sense than hanging on to him, but. That's the trouble. In the summer, we need to sort of striker. I need a lot of stuff. Only 2 loans, but okay. Well, there you go. So maybe the Chalobah deal could be, but then maybe Jota could be perm. It could be. Who do you think will leave this window? I think you're likely to see. I mean, Ben. The whole Fornals thing has been dragging on too much now. So is Ben Rama really. Just been dragging on, isn't it now? And I know what's going to happen. They'll probably both leave on transfer deadline day, and we won't have any time to replace them. But, yeah. Any truth Moyes dropping Alvarez due to his poor disciplinary record? I don't think so. He had a knock last game, didn't he? Apparently, Osman has 007 and W8 working for him. Very good, Mark. Very good. Very good. Anyway, let's move on like Donkey Kong. This is the list we're up to now. This is what I'm saying. We see lots of these players, and we've been linked with lots of these players, and I think we take a lot of them to heart as well. So, looking back at it and some of the players we've been linked with, I just don't see. I just don't see any. We haven't been linked to all of them. And so we haven't been linked. We've seen all of them, but we haven't been linked to all of them officially. We haven't put bids in for all of these guys. So I just so obviously we signed one. Yeah, he might get DC 11. You might do. We've signed one from 75. 75. He's only keen because he thinks it's Leon Osman. Very good. So we've only been linked with 75 of them. So I think Notto is going to be signing a new deal with Leeds. To be honest, I don't think that's going to happen anything now. So yeah, so it's and no doubt we're going to get some crazy names turn up in the last few days because we always do. Zagadou, Stuttgart aren't going to get rid of him mid-season. That's a trouble for him. For me, if you're looking at realistically, the type of players you want to be bringing in the types of the Brazilian players because of their season, how it's off season for them now. I do worry if we sell without bringing players in, because we saw a bit light already, and we did it with Telo Kira, and I thought the idea was we were going to bring him, and then get rid. Telo Kira's gone, Connor Coventry's gone. Obviously the likes of someone like Callum Marshall's gone out on loan, Gideon's gone out on loan. Ben Rama, Fornals, Ben Johnson at the moment, he hasn't signed a new deal yet, so that could all go tits up. We're in a funny position at the moment. We're in a funny position. I was thinking about Darren Powell, not Daryl Powell. Darren Powell, he was on loan. Afternoon, Russ just joined. Have you heard anything? About Areola and the injury in the last game? Well, that was over 10 days ago. So I think if there was an injury, then he'll be okay. But there's been nothing. I haven't seen any news about it just yet in terms of whether there was a likelihood he wouldn't be. But when it comes to injuries in the goalkeeper, I'm not as worried because obviously we've got, Fabianski can come and do a great job. He can come and do a great job. So, obviously we won't have, what's his face? We won't have Soufal, will we, for the Bournemouth game? So that's one player we definitely won't have. And obviously Ben Rama we still won't have as well if he's still here. We're still light on the homegrown players. That's why I could see the Chalobah deal happening maybe, because that's that reason. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, with West Ham? As I was saying to, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, and it seems that you've got all these sort of highs and lows. It seems 1 minute we're all really high, and the next minute, and we're a bit of a, we was a bit high over the weekend, when Calvin Phillips deal, it was a great deal for us. I think in hindsight it'd be a really good deal. But then what's happening now? If Areola, even if Areola had 10 days, he'd have passed that already since playing for Thursday, because there was a 10 days gap, I think, between the two games. But there's been nothing on Premier injuries about him. So that's what they're sort of the oracle of this. Looks a good play. Yeah, a bit more of a signing. Yeah, I think you're more likely to see it in the signing. Yeah, it's just a bit. It's a bit shit at the moment, isn't it? It's just a bit like but I think every other. The fact is we've got one good signing in, already, and we've done more business than a lot of other sides as well, as, to be honest, and it's business on a basis of relative strength in terms of our league position, which again is very unusual for us. Last year we panicked and got Danny Ings in because we needed someone to get some goals. It didn't really work, to be honest. But this one we're looking at bringing in, and in terms of the areas we've strengthened possibly one of our strongest areas in terms of the midfield, which I think is probably the strongest area in terms of bodies. But hopefully that will have a knock-on effect in terms of the defence, because it will shore up the defence, and if we're not conceding as many, then it makes the less pressure on the forward line to having to score just to get us some points. If we're already 1-0 down, they've got to score 2 to win the game. That's how it works. But if they only score 1 and we haven't conceded, then we're going to win the game. That's how football works. The long break will work in our favour or against us. We never come back well from break, do we? Never. So I just don't know at the moment. I'm in a bit of limbo at the moment. I'll be honest in terms of West Ham. In terms of what's going to happen. We're literally seeing conflicting stories, literally by the minute. By the minute. Something like the Osman deal was coming out of, it was really hotting up. And then all this happened and conflicting stories and yada yada. And then we've had the same thing, we had the same thing now with Jota. It's like all systems go. He's ready to roll. We just got to pay, and he's on the plane, he's going to be ready and da. Until the social media post comes out, until that happens, we don't know who we've signed. And that's the truth. Doesn't matter how you position yourself, whether you're Fabrizio Romano or a fat bloke from Hornchurch. That's the complete spectrum of people who did it. We don't deliver the news. All we do is literally feed what's been already discussed in the press, in the newspapers, on the websites, on social media, and give you our view on it. And I think that's the only way you can do it, really. We're not, if we do get any, if we get sources, then we try and make sure and validate them as much as possible. As such, when we had information about David Moyes and his opinion on Osman, or when Anton spoke to Tim Steindl and he told him that basically they were getting signings coming in over a few days. That's when we tend to sort of give it all the bigger, not sort of, I've heard sources from this person and Bob's sister's hairdresser said, they think we're going to sign this person. I think here and now we're just looking to get players in to get us through to the end of the season. Big summer rebuild. That's dependent about who's in the dugout, in all honesty, isn't it? Because, the fact is the Calvin Phillips deal was a short-term loan deal. A dry loan, so to speak. So, yeah. Phillips and Alvarez together with JWP further forward will look great. I totally agree. And we may have, according to Paqueta's partner, he's ready to roll. I don't think he is, but he's ready. He's all recovered. He's ready to go. But did that happen last time? Are Bambi and Patman likely to be in the squad? I don't know about Bambi. Patman, neither as well. We don't know, do we? We just don't know until we get that team sheet. Because even if the question's asked of David Moyes, he'll say he'll do some smoke and mirrors response, because someone like Patman is so crucial to our side. Bambi, I think I'm surprised we haven't seen Bambi around yet. Obviously, he's been on telly and stuff as well, hasn't he? There's been nothing on. His potential return date was the Bournemouth game. That's the date that's been given on Premier Injuries. So we'll see. That's now 4 million still Moyes is building. I think, but you always got to build though, Ralph. And I know what you mean. And we have a good back and forth, you and me. And I know what you mean. And I agree. We spend a lot of money. A lot of other clubs spend more. I think we spent over Moyes' tenure. I think we've spent the 8th most in the Premier League over that period, and we're 6th. So we're sort of in there or thereabouts where we should be in terms of the level of money we've spent. Now I get that, and I get he's wasted. And actually, when you go through it, there's a number of players who we've bought who aren't no longer with us as well, where it hasn't worked out. I've had a few duds. But you think about the last sort of half dozen, and obviously most of them involving Tim Steindl. Kudus, now he's a regular first team player. Alvarez is a regular first team player. Mavropanos is a regular first team player. JWP is a regular first team player. When you go through them, he looks like the likes of Bowen who we brought in, Suchek who we brought in, Zuma, Agard, Emerson, Soufal. It's a complete, he's bought that side. He's brought that side in completely, really. Maybe the only one he hasn't brought in really is Antonio, in all honesty. Paqueta as well, So, yeah, I know. I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's all relative now to where we are now. In my opinion, does get shafted out to the left? No. Paqueta will stay up on the left. Put up front for the last 15 minutes. That's what I mean. On the bench, bring him on. Does my head in? To be honest, I agree, but have never been as bad as this, even when we were relegated. It has been I think Ruby, I remember, I do remember several times it has been as bad. When as I said, I remember us playing. It's a game that sticks in my head because it was raining, and we had Steve Jones and Mike Newell up front against Leeds, and we lost like 3-0, and it was like so bad. And that was Upton Park, Upton Park. Wow, so it's we have. I think when you look at it, there's been some dark days, and if this is a dark day and we're sixth, then I'm, you know what I mean. What we got here? It was Bambi, Antonio. I'd not play Sujic again. I'd play off the bench. I think he will play. Please, you're a great person to know. We all feel as if we know you personally. Well, that's the idea, mate. That is the idea, my friends. That's what I'm saying. Not bad. I don't feel bad at all. I'm just, it's just sometimes, it's like people say, we have this much information and we don't know who that information comes from usually. So that's why we don't usually talk about it. But if we get a good bit, which has been corroborated, we'll let you guys know, just as we do. If we had a decent defense, top 6, possibly. Once we replace the oldies, we won't have to spend too much. Agreed. Look at the league table with a bunch of hungry lions up our arse. We must be ready to rock and roll. I totally agree. No update on that. How the hell has Walker managed to concentrate on football with all that playing? I don't get that. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for all you do. Upton Park it brought lots of memories. In the same way that I have memories now of Sevilla, I have memories against Liverpool at home. I have some really good memories of West Ham at London Stadium. I have good memories of West Ham at Upton Park. I have more of them because I was Upton Park longer than we are at London Stadium. But unfortunately, I think the trouble is sometimes I think it's just nostalgia. People are nostalgic and have a different. And I think that's where sometimes a lot of the angst comes out is. People don't know how to really relay it, but I think the trouble is there's so much money in the game that you almost the first thing to do you have to keep in the Premier League. You have to. If you get out of the Premier League, you are forgotten. You are forgotten not by the fan base, but you're forgotten by new players coming in, investment and stuff like that. A football club isn't just a football club now; it's a business, and that's horrible to think of it, but it is a business. It employs hundreds and hundreds of people. So to facilitate that, you need to have money, and obviously you have to be in the Premier League. So you have to sometimes play it, And it's quite interesting. We did the stats, the Calvin Phillips thing, and Moyes does play a different way compared to everyone else. He does. You've got a situation there where I think it was possession based, and we had like the 4th worst possession. But actually, with looking at those teams around us who have equally low possession, we were like 6th, and the rest were like in the bottom of the literally in the bottom half of the table. So it is different. And I get it. It's not tippy tappy. And it's not so exciting football, but and I think people have turned to look at the West Ham way and stuff like that, and I totally get that. And I said, I think one day we will do a proper show about it, because I'd love to get people like Ralph. I'd like to get people like Ruby on there, and not necessarily on if they want to come on, but talking about your view of what the West Ham way is, because I think there's so many different opinions and things like that. Russ, you think we were going? No way, Jose. No, that ain't gonna happen. Not in a month of Sundays. So that means it will, because I said that. Fab is new. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he I don't think it's going to happen, because there seems to be too much complication, and actually, we don't want to go down the Tevez route or anything like that again. And actually, for what we spent on Tevez, and if this was a weird ownership situation or something like that, and it turns out that we've, something happens, then it will cost us more money than if we, on the money we'd potentially miss out by buying them in 2 years' time, for example. Looking good. He broke his hand, mate. That's why. What's happening with swapping some players? Nothing happened at the moment. What's our revenue on a match day, Russ? Let's have a look. See if I can find it. See if I've got the latest match day revenue. Let's have a look for you, my friend. Let's have a look here. Is that the one I want? Is that the one I want? Or is that last year's one? I think that might be last year's one. Our match day revenue has increased. Our match day revenue is according to no, that's increased from from Upton Park to from Upton Park London Stadium, it's increased from 18 million to 41 million pounds. So it's a lot. You are right. No good on dwelling on the past, but I think we do, Ruby. I think we do, because we talk about the West Ham way. We talk about it's what happened under John Lars' stewardship and and under Harry we had Di Canio so we do, and we do compare times where football now. Or the club and the amount of money spent now is very different to when we got promoted in 2011-12. It's poles apart. So you can't judge. You can't judge. Those differences. As I said, we herald a side in 85-86. We finished third in the season, so they didn't win it. They finished third, and then from 1980 until last year, we hadn't won anything in the league or anything at all in the league. We hadn't any cups or anything. So it's like, I think we always do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love ex-player nights. I listen to I love all the stories, but it's, for me, that's a different era, and I think sometimes people will say, "Oh, it's not like that, not that anymore," and unfortunately, it has moved on. It has moved on. Same as if you was going to lots of other places. London Stadium will never have better. I beckon to disagree, Stuart. There was some great nights at Upton Park. Obviously Ipswich in the playoffs, but that Sevilla game, that was incredible. That was incredible. I don't think and there's some games where, particularly European games, which we sort of. What's the word? I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. But we're lucky to have these European games now. So it's like because of the way we're playing and our league positions and winning conference league and stuff like that. Those to me are some amazing games. Amazing games. I remember some really shit atmospheres at Upton Park, and I remember some really shit atmospheres at London Stadium. So it's all in retrospect, isn't it? I loved Upton Park. There are times when it wasn't full. It was always an atmosphere. The sorts of new ground is growing on me is far from the worst. I totally agree. It's effective. It is. You look at it and you look at the amount of passes and long balls, and it works. It works. People talk about Upton Park like it was Nirvana. In reality, it could be poor. It could be, and it was in the arse end of nowhere where I was, and it was falling apart. I totally agree. That it's memories, and for me, that was when I talk about Upton Park, from my granddad, and he passed years ago, like 15 years ago, something like that. And that to me was him. But that's not there anymore now. And so now it's like, well, new memories and it's new experiences, and life is all, we're getting very deep, but life is all about experiences. Bergwijn was not interesting. I personally loved to miss as much as the next guy, but if you hadn't have moved, never got. That is a great point, Mark. I listened to a podcast that little Jack did with Spence, and he was talking about affordability of football. And it is true. It is true. Yes, a lot of people pay a lot of money, but it has opened up. There's more. Particularly in the last few seasons when we were, basically going to be leaving. You could get a ticket for love nor money. So yeah, I thought some of the football that we went up was brilliant. It was indeed. Yeah. Any updates on problems with stadium? No, nothing I've heard. They will get extra. Apparently, they are looking at that. Without history in the past, you can't improve. You're totally right, my friend. You're totally right. We'll talk about Hammershead. Like Hammershead, I'll talk about West Ham women. If we don't sign anyone else this window, I want Tim to get Locker, and I think there's going to be a massive rebuild. Obviously, we were earmarked. We had like 70 million or something like that, I think, to spend. So clearly, that should go into the pot for the summer, for whatever we're doing in the summer. Do you think a team is a bit much for, and loan wage for too much? Patrick, I think now it's just a lot of it is just in terms of 80 million for a 19-year-old, not if he's going to end up being a 50 million pound player in 3 years' time. Same as Jota. Jota, 5 million in loan wages. He could, for example, turn up and fire us into the Champions League or whatever, or even keep us back into the Europa League again next year. That's worth X amount million more than him. So I think you've got to speculate to accumulate. When there's a draw, that'll be happening mid-February after the 2 rounds have done. I think us oldies just think we get used to it. How about Jamie Vardy? Indeed, the best atmosphere was the last game. Yeah, I mean, it was brilliant, amazing. Showing me age, best atmosphere I said was 76. Yeah, I mean, Steve, let's see, you've got those experiences, and also at that time, no disrespect, Steve, you were a lot younger as well. So it's like I mean, my fondest time of supporting West Ham was probably the early Redknapp era, and that's because I was a teenager. Same as music, I guarantee you might like the odd new song, but the type of music you listen to is the music which you grew up with, and that's your favorite type of music, or for the majority of people, and that's the same as this. It's the same. You appreciate, you do some good stuff, but there's occasionally be like, nah. Add all the youngsters, Xabi Alonso, you could have Moyes. It'd be a great team of the future. Well, Xabi will be at Liverpool, and what's his face will be at Arteta's going to be in Barcelona, isn't it? Was Dave Bautista the last person due to the lights going out? Indeed. I talk to a lot of fans. Can't believe how cheap our season tickets are. Indeed. Think who have moved up have done well this season. Peter, we've got the Academy show tonight, 7:00. All the latest news, reviews, opinions about the Academy. That'll be every week on a Monday. Okay, Stein had a complete overhaul. West Ham finished that, and people would accept that. That's the thing. That's the thing. You don't know, Fremer. Unfortunately, I think that will be a case. Some people will be angry. Some people won't be angry because I think it's trust the process. I was 11. Exactly. That's what I mean. You're proper getting into that football. Football was your thing, and you remember that so clearly. Same as me and my sort of recollections of it. It's a bit sad that our academy players are all going, but then we buy more young ones. Some are going. I think the right ones are going. The others are being tied down to long deals. Some are going out on loan. I think they're trying to. I think they're working on it in a more logical way than they have done previously. There is a definitive structure in place. We have some very good youngsters. And that's the whole idea of the Academy show, is to give you guys a bit more info, a bit more up to date about the Academy, what's going on, who's talking to who's playing well, all that type of stuff. I think a Barn will move on in the summers. Moyes hasn't handled him well. I think retrospect, hindsight is a great thing. It's an amazing thing. And we can say where people are right or wrong. You've got certain players at certain situations, certain times where we think they should do X, Y, and Z, and they do A, B, and C. Or the management do A, B, and C, and we think they should do X, Y, and Z. Unfortunately, we're not in those situations 24/7. We see them on the pitch. We hear about them. We get people like me talking about the academy players and things like that. So the assumption is that they are up there. But actually, sometimes they might be there and they still are not quite where we think they are. And, the argument is, well, how will you know if you don't put them in? I totally agree. I totally agree. But I just think, and, a bit of a precursor to the Academy show tonight, I talk about Callum Marshall and the move to West Brom and how I'm a bit 50-50 about it, Rich, and I'll leave it like that because a little bit 50-50 about it, because I know Callum and I know the situation. I know, what he's currently. I just think, don't know. It could, and again, hindsight's a great thing. I could be proved completely wrong, and I hope I am. Imagine now if we had a strike force of either David Cross and God. Oh, amazing. Ain't for me. It's for generations after me. Not many yet. You're totally right. I haven't had Sarge on, actually. I need to get Sarge on. Could you put Buster Merrifield on singing? Isn't he dead? I think Buster's dead, unfortunately. I compare back to we've never been so organised or taken seriously. You're probably right. We have a system in place. And unfortunately, we have a system in place which we don't necessarily understand the system in place as well. I think we think this is happening and this happens. And we, because of social media and because of us and everyone else who talks about these players, we think we're getting this guy, but we don't. We're not getting this guy. We don't get any guys at all. We're thinking, ah. And I think people assume that, Tim Steinen sitting back, kicking back in his chair, twiddling his thumbs. He's not. They think Mark, like Nobes is at the training ground every day with the kids, the academy. There's not, in terms of the management and the setup, there is not. The manager knows, I'd say more so than the last maybe half a dozen managers, knows exactly what's what with the academy, who the good players are. Moyes is at every game at Rush Green. I've seen it every game. He's there. He knows. And so, if they're good enough, he'll put them in. But unfortunately now, me and Anton were talking about the other day, and again, we've diverted onto something else, of course. You've got to be that much more to get into a side from an academy perspective. You have to. You look at the guys who have made it, and you're thinking it's Grealish, it's Declan Rice, it's Phil Foden. Even Phil Foden doesn't start every game for City. These are the guys, Trent Alexander-Arnold, these guys coming through and becoming permanent fixtures in their side, as well as being permanent fixtures in the England side as well. When Deck left, really had only Ben Johnson, really. Connor Coventry wasn't getting a sniff in. Everyone talks about Flynn Downs. He had a torrid time at the beginning of Southampton. He's finding his feet, but he's in the Championship, and he's had some good games, but some different games when he came on for us. Maybe if he was given more game time. He's 24, 25, so you think he should be hitting the ground running a bit more. I don't know. I'm just, you can look at everything all the time. Brave call. Yes, it is. It is, I think. What we got here? Surprised by the Callum move. Have a lot of forwards to worry about game time. Me too. Interested to see Suchik in the back four. Not going to happen, mate. We look and judge through rose-tinted glasses. It's the business. Yeah, and I think that's a disparity, old man. You're totally right. And the thing is, from a business perspective, Moyes is a relatively safe pair of hands. Same as when, you want a firefighter, you bring somebody like Big Sam, or, he's a safe pair of hands. And we play a safe way because of that. It's safe, isn't it? I mean, we let them have the ball and then we hit them on the counter attack, and we've got some really pacey forwards and they're quite clinical, and we'll, and that's it. It's a business. And and people pay but then it's the entertainment business as well. People want to be entertained. So I understand the other side wanting to play more attractive, flamboyant football. But the detriment is, and you could have both. You can have attractive football and be irregularly in the top 6, top 8. You got to think Brighton sort of did that, and now finally they're getting to there, but we're still ahead of them. And and it's, I don't know. Hopefully after the whole thing in the academy shows, you'll get a bit more insight in terms of these players coming through, man. Marshall, I think, should have been given more game time with the better players also on the pitch. And look at the situation in summer. Well, I mean, I don't think Marshall, in all likelihood, when everyone's back, would get into the team ahead of Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, Antonio, Mbama. I don't think he would. So for me, it's makes perfect sense, and that's what it's all about. It's all about developing the next group. And someone like Marshall, if he goes out on loan, say he smashes it at West Brom, comes back full of confidence. We got him on a 3-year deal, so he's there. And if he goes out on loan again, that's great, because that's how it should work. These guys need regular football, first team football, not regular under 21 football. Yes, you can smash it against your peers, but when you look up against big, massive defenders, that's another thing. Callum's quite a small lad. Let's be honest, he's a great player. He's quite a small lad. He's not going to get 20 chances like he would do at under 21 match. He may get one chance. He might get 10 minutes to come on and make and try and make something happen. A lot of pressure there. A lot of pressure. He may well thrive in it, and I hope he does. But there is a high possibility that he's not going to get any game time. Think about Kadua. He's at Wickham's on the bench on Saturday. Never came on. What's the point? It's a sport first. It's a sport business. It is, unfortunately, again, it is a business now, and I think that's the trouble. I think that's why there's disparity mostly between people. Sometimes it is a business. It is. Football is a multi-billion-pound business. Yes, it started as a sport. But it's developed into this thing now. This beast of a money making, and it is not gone well for Charlton since. Yeah, indeed. We have a good future. We do have a great future. We've got some really good youngsters. How many points do you think we'll get for the next 3 games? Bournemouth, Man United, Arsenal. 4 points, I reckon. Ben Yedder at times does well. He does, but then you could say Kudus is a tiny striker. Callum's a very slight lad. He needs to, bulk up a little bit, in my opinion. To bring a developer on would only be right if you were commanding a game, which we rarely do. Otherwise, it'll be due to injuries with nothing riding on them. I totally agree. When is the stage? I don't know, actually. I don't know, because haven't they away bit got the safe standings things already in? I think. Anyway, we've waffled on for far too long, my friends. Keep an eye on Hammer's headlines today. We'll be doing them, and then also we will be doing the Academy show. The Academy show tonight about 7:00. Keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to give it a comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll be back later on. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Enjoy the rest of your day. Much love. Bye. Have fun. Iron.